If you're a fan of true crime, you've likely heard of numerous notorious serial killers, especially those from the United States. Among those are the likes of the infamous Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, and John Wayne Gacy. But serial killers have existed long before the term was created to describe them, and have come from places you'd least expect. For instance, when you think of the island of Jamaica, I'm sure you envision white sandy beaches, good vibes, and good food. Not a deranged killer who stalked his victims and feasted on their blood. Welcome back to Crime or Mystery, where we cover crimes, mysteries, and everything in between. In today's video, we'll be looking at Jamaica's first documented serial killer, Lewis Hutchinson, also known as the Mad Master or the Mad Doctor of Edinburgh Castle. It may come as a surprise to some that Jamaica has a high homicide rate. Interestingly, though, there are rarely any reported instances of murders carried out by serial killers. In the 1700s, however, the island was subjected to the tyranny of doctor and slave owner Lewis Hutchinson. Hutchinson was born in Scotland in 1733, where he is believed to have studied medicine. During the 1700s, there were plenty of Scottish men who established sugar plantations in Jamaica, aiming to make their fortunes with the use of slaves to work the plantations. Hutchinson was no exception. He headed to Jamaica in the 1760s, where he acquired a plantation in the Pedro district of the parish of St. Anne. Hutchinson named his home the Edinburgh Castle, perhaps as an ode to his homeland or a symbol of the importance with which he viewed himself. It is said that although he acquired the land legally, his collection of cattle consisted mostly of strays he stole from neighboring pens, and he is said to have owned about 24 slaves who he eventually forced to be accomplices in his evil doings. Edinburgh Castle was the only inhabited location for many miles on the way south from St. Anne's Bay, so travelers would occasionally stop there to rest. But shortly after Hutchinson's arrival, reports of missing travelers started to rise alarmingly, fueling rampant suspicions that the unsuspecting travelers were becoming prey to Hutchinson's depravity. But even then, no one could have imagined the extent of the torment they endured. Hutchinson apparently treated all travelers, regardless of their race, stature, or wealth, as fair game. The slaves owned by Hutchinson shared their accounts, including their own stories of abuse, leading to Hutchinson's infamous reputation. According to one former slave, Hutchinson did not kill for profit, but for the thrill of the chase. To set the stage, he prepared a thick-set hedge of logwood by the roadside at a distance from the house, and, while he detained the unsuspecting traveler in conversation, his slaves had to hide behind the hedge where they could easily take aim at their target. Or Hutchinson, on his own, would take aim and use one single shot to take down his prey. The truth surrounding the details of Hutchinson's killings is, well, a topic of debate. But it is rumored that after the kill, he would consume their blood and sever their heads from their beating bodies just for the pleasure of the act. And some accounts suggest that when he could no longer look at the rotting faces, he elevated the bodies high in the empty trunk of a cotton tree, where vultures could finish what he started. The twisted remains were then tossed into a deep ravine or a sinkhole as the final act, to be forgotten and to make room for the next victim. This infamous sinkhole eventually earned the name Hutchinson's Hole. During the height of his nefarious deeds, Hutchinson boldly escalated by hosting his victims as guests at his castle, providing them with entertainment before ultimately killing them. His reputation as a villain was so notorious that people started avoiding him and his castle at all costs. As a result, fear and hesitation spread among the officials who were tasked to serve him a warrant. So, time continued to pass, and Hutchinson remained free to continue his attacks. Not even the report of Hutchinson's neighbor, Dr. Hutton, of Hutchinson's violent and unwarranted attack on him while he was traveling along the route, could persuade the officials to intervene and apprehend Hutchinson. It wasn't until the cold-blooded murder of John Callender was witnessed by multiple whites that the officials sprang into action. Callender was a courageous young English soldier who had selflessly volunteered to apprehend Hutchinson, but was killed for his efforts. Outrage had erupted across the island, with the public demanding justice and calling for Hutchinson's execution upon learning that he had taken Callender's life. In response, the government ordered his immediate arrest. Hutchinson left Edinburgh Castle and fled south to Old Harbour to make a getaway by sea. Unfortunately for him, the Royal Navy was monitoring the island's harbours, and Admiral Rodney, whose statue is now located in Spanish Town Square, intercepted his escape vessel. Growing more and more frantic to get away, Hutchinson made a final desperate attempt to escape by jumping overboard. However, his distinctive red hair betrayed him even as he submerged, and he was eventually captured by men from the warship. He was then brought ashore and later sent to Spanish Town for trial. Legal proceedings against the Mad Master of Edinburgh Castle commenced, unveiling shocking stories of wickedness and indulgence that stretched the boundaries of belief. Hutchinson's slaves enthusiastically broke their long-held silence, recounting crime after crime in vivid detail. There was not enough evidence to prove all the murders, however, so although Hutchinson was believed to have committed over 40 murders, he was tried for only one, that of English soldier John Callender. During the trial, the stories of his slaves were more or less substantiated, and it was revealed that Hutchinson had not carried out his acts alone. The existence of a group of like-minded individuals was also revealed. Two such members, a planter named James Walker and Roger Maddox, were tried, found guilty, and sentenced to death for their own parts in the murders of fellow farmer William Lickley and schoolmaster Timothy Cronin. It is reported 3 other members of the group, Maddox's wife, Dorcas, as well as a Miss Susanna Cole and a Miss Elizabeth Thomas, all witnessed the death of schoolmaster Cronin, who was strangled while confined in stocks. Though Cronin's watch and seal were found in Elizabeth Thomas's possession, she was tried and found not guilty. Hutchinson was not so lucky and was found guilty of John Callender's murder. He was later sentenced to death by hanging. His execution took place in Spanish Town Square on March 16, 1773, and was one of the first white men to be publicly executed in Jamaica. Unyielding and defiant until the very end, he left funds to inscribe the following epitaph on his tombstone: "Their sentence, pride and malice I defy, despise their power, and like a Roman die." His final wishes were ignored, however, and his tombstone, unlike him, is now forgettable and unremarkable. The true number of people murdered by Hutchinson will probably never be known, but after his arrest, the castle was thoroughly searched, and it was reported that they found 43 watches, along with a large amount of clothing and numerous other items, all believed to have belonged to his ill-fated victims. The ruins of Edinburgh Castle still remain today, quietly preserving secrets of the heinous deeds that occurred there centuries ago. It is listed among the Jamaica National Heritage Trust's historic sites of interest. It is said that people in the neighboring community stay far from the place as the ghosts of Hutchinson's victims roam the ruins, especially at night. Serial killers undoubtedly commit heinous crimes that are both shocking and repulsive. However, despite the revulsion and terror that serial killers provoke, There is often a morbid curiosity that compels us to delve deeper into their minds and understand the reasons behind their actions. Only the mad doctor held the true motive behind his heinous acts. But with your own curiosity leading you this far, what conclusions have you drawn? Was Lewis Hutchinson a sociopath driven by a relentless thirst for violence? Or had he truly lost his sanity during an era when society lacked an understanding of the complexities of mental health? That was the story of Jamaica's first documented serial killer. Join us next time to learn about another Jamaican serial killer who, unlike Hutchinson, was no stranger to his victims. Comment your thoughts and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this one. See you next time.